What's up, everybody? Welcome to S.W.A.T MMA, where we're smoking weed and talking mixed martial arts. My name is Jarrod. I'm here with Paul.
What up?
We're coming to you from the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. On today's episode number 76, we are going to be discussing the UFC Vegas 11 results, which saw Tyron Woodley get beat down by Colby Covington. We're going to take a look ahead to the UFC's return to Abu Dhabi's Fight Island for UFC 253, headlined by two championship fights, one at 185 pounds and the other for the vacant 205-pound strap. We're also going to be talking about Michael Chandler's move from Bellator over to the UFC, and we're going to take a look at the big boxing card coming up this weekend that sees both of the Charlo Brothers return to action on the same pay-per-view. Before we get into all that, grab your weed, fire it up, and let's get started with our weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
All right, word today we are smoking on two different kinds of flower. We got the Gorilla Glue number 4 still, GG4, which I'm not going to break down, Paul, because we've been talking about it for a couple weeks, but it is some top shelf herb. We got this fine raw cone filled with it here that we're puffing on, but we also have some ice cream cake. Which is also a indica hybrid. We're looking at wedding cake.
Holy shit, there's a lot of different fucking...
Right, there's a lot of different strains on here, right? Well, I broke it down a little bit deep on this ice cream cake because I like the lineage. We got basically what it sounds like. We got gelato number 33 crossed with wedding cake. So gelato 33 is sunset sherbet crossed with thin mint cookies. Then wedding cake is basically a phenotype of triangle mints. And we've discussed phenotypes on the show before. So we got to take a look at what triangle mints is. And that's triangle kush crossed with animal mints, another strain we were just talking about within the last couple weeks. So with the wedding cake equals a very pretty bud, completely different looking than the Gorilla Glue, which is like a limeish green color with a lot of heavy crystals on it. Whereas, this wedding or this ice cream cake, is it's dense, it's dark. There's a lot of purple in here. We got, more greens and purples, and we got orange, and the color's more of like a deep piney green.
Mm-hmm. It's fucking dense as hell.
Yeah, very much so. Where the glue
you can't even squish it with your
fluffy.
hand. Yeah, the glue is more like, a little bit more fluffy, a little bit more like. A few little more air pockets in it,
Yeah, fluffy and sticky, where that's dense and hard, but both some top shelf herb, which I'm looking forward to getting into this ice cream cake here. We hope you are smoking on something good out there while you are listening, and we are going to go ahead and get started with UFC Vegas 11. These are really getting monotonous with the names of the Apex.
Good thing they're over
here
today.
Yeah, we got a break now. Dude. We got,
this is all Abu Dhabi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, now it's back to the Abu Dhabi numbered. But whatever, we're back on the island now for the next 5 events.
I believe so. I think it's the pay-per-view. It's this pay-per-view bridged to the Khabib pay-per-view.
Yeah. So, but let's finish up with the Vegas business. We
I
talked about it last week.
I want to start this off by saying this was a great card that lived up to every single bit of the hype. There was great fights on it top to bottom.
Yeah, it was pretty enjoyable. It was nice, refreshing change from the way some of the cards have been lately. Everybody put in some work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start from the bottom. First, we saw Mackenzie Dern come in and secure just a textbook clean submission against Randa Marcos, who, don't get me wrong, she was not giving it up by any means. But
no, Randa Marcos fought hard on the ground. And look, man, I'm just going to say it how I saw it. I don't understand what happened there. I don't understand. And what I mean is Mackenzie comes out with this wild, crazy kick that she totally misses and falls flat on her butt. And then Marcos, what she should have done, which I think everybody out there can agree upon, is simply back up and let Mackenzie stand up.
Yeah.
Like,
took it to her
Mackenzie's
world.
kickboxing is getting better, but it's just not that great. But her jiu-jitsu is beyond a doubt world class. No one can argue this. And Randa Marcos instead just falls into Mackenzie Dern's guard, where she proceeds to stay for like 2 minutes
She
until
almost
she's
got a
submitted.
couple different submissions on her. She almost had the omoplata. She almost had the fucking. She almost hit her with the triangle, and then comes out with the armbar. I was like, damn.
So taking nothing away from Dern's incredible performance there on the ground.
Well, that's what she's supposed
That was
to be, though.
insane.
Yeah.
That was the dumbest move I've ever seen a fighter just willingly make and then refuse to stand up afterwards. What are you thinking?
Well,
you have zero chance of beating her on the ground. Zero.
Let's just be honest here.
Come on, man.
Here. This was an underhand pitch for her from the UFC after that Polyana Viana fight, so when she just came back from her pregnancy. This is her getting her groove back, getting her activity back. Now she actually has, like she said, that she doesn't have any of the physical effects that she had in the first fight back since her pregnancy. So I think I feel like this was a chance for her to get back on track. And she's fighting Randa Marcus, who was coming in at 10-9, and now it's 10-10.
Well, she's 10-9, but she had a bad record before she came to the UFC. But with that 10-9, she's also never had a 2-fight losing streak.
True.
You know, like she's a
She's
talented
10-10.
fighter, and I'm not denigrating her by saying she can't win on the ground against Mackenzie Dern. That's not an insult. You don't
It
willingly
was just
go
a
where you
mistake,
have
yeah.
a 90% chance of losing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You get it back up on the feet where you've got a decent chance of putting in some work. If you can
Yeah.
keep it standing, man, you could win this fight.
Absolutely.
I don't get it.
It didn't make much sense.
I would say it's a rookie mistake, but she has 20 fights.
Yeah, true. 21 because one's a
And
no
she's
contest.
like 35. So I don't know what to say. I was really disappointed in her
Well-
performance. Mackenzie looked great on the ground. Shocker.
She gets a performance of the night bonus at the end of the night.
Good for her. Let's see.
Move on back up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Randa has kind of become the gatekeeper of like people in that top 15. Like if you get a win over her, you get in that top 15 come Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer she's going to be in the game here.
Well, I think this is also the beginning of what could be a flourishing career for Mackenzie Dern. Now she's 5 fights into her UFC career. She's starting to really get her, like you said, her kickboxing is a little raw, but at the same
It'll
time she's
improve.
working on it.
She's working on it.
Like so,
She's shown she
I
can
think it was a
improve,
good step
so-
forward for her.
It was.
Yeah.
But I don't think she can count on opponents willingly just falling into her guard like that.
Without
in
a
the
doubt.
future.
Without a doubt.
At some point, she's going to come across fighters that aren't going to have nothing to do with that. So we'll see.
But I think that also shows her ability to adapt, though. She said before the fight, going into the fight, that she wanted to stand up with her and how she wanted to. She had all this new striking that she was working
Yeah.
on that she wanted to really showcase it in this fight.
That's why I thought
But-
Marcos was probably going to win because I expected a full stand-up fight.
Yeah,
Or-
well,
there
went
you go.
south real quick.
I was texting you like, what is she doing?
Yeah, I knew as soon as it went to the ground, it was over.
Me too. I'm.
I was like, "There's no
What
way."
do you? And then and then just stay there. Like,
Yeah, no.
it was unbelievable.
It's not
but
the move.
it's not the move. So bad look for
But
her.
you know
good
what
for
the
Mackenzie.
move is what happened the fight before that between Kevin Holland and Darren Stewart, where we saw a really, really close fight.
Yeah, this is at 185, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went to the judges' scorecards, and Kevin gets the win by split decision. But from what he said, going into this fight, both these guys, they weren't talking a lot of shit, but they were like talking shit at the same time. You know what I mean? Like there's that
Yeah.
shit talk that's not necessarily shit talk. It's just raw emotion. You know what I mean? Like
Okay, yeah.
both going into the fight, they're like, I know this guy's gonna fight. He knows I'm gonna fight. One of us is getting knocked the fuck out. Like from the beginning, that was kind of the mantra of both guys. Is like we're gonna be in this fight, and it's gonna be fireworks from the beginning to the end, and one of us is gonna come out with a knockout. And I feel like Kevin Holland wanted that early in the fight, and then kind of faded a little bit.
He definitely faded a bit.
Yeah. He even said after the fight, he goes, if that was a 5-round fight, he beats me probably in the 4th or 5th round.
Takes a man to admit that.
And he said he's down to run it back.
That as well.
It's pretty
I
big.
enjoyed the fight. How did you have it scored?
I had Kevin winning.
So did I.
Yeah, so
So
I
I
don't really-
wasn't like.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I've-
thought he clearly lost the third, but whatever.
Yeah. But I think at the same time, what also matters is like that performance gets him moved up and possibly in the rankings, but that fight and performance doesn't get him a higher caliber opponent than Darren Stewart because the UFC looks at what happened there and goes, well, you must just be at that caliber, so we're not going to give you the higher guys up in the division because we're not sure if you're quite ready. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. As a quick aside, I'm trying this ice cream cake. I mean, for the first time, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a little peppery.
Yeah.
To me, everybody's taste is different. It's like wine. Everybody's like, oh, I taste vanilla and oak. And people do the same thing with weed. But I mean, seriously, it tastes it's good.
I'll fuck with it.
That's very tasty, sir.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I
though?
thought they're gonna run it back though, realistically, but it was a good fight. I don't think it takes anything away from Darren Stewart either. Dentist is coming out all right after that.
Yeah, it was a close fight, but he clearly lost 2 rounds and 1.
What did you think of the Jessica Rose Clark fight that was stopped and then restarted?
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Because we had a pretty massive knee landed by Jessie Jess to her opponent's face while she was almost down on her butt, but wasn't.
Yeah.
And the referee thinks that she was down.
Tough angle.
You can't fault him there.
Yeah.
It was a tough angle. So then he stops it. They look at the replay. Meanwhile, old girl is just bleeding out.
Yeah.
Like she was definitely walloped.
Yeah.
And then he restarts the fight.
Yeah.
Said he didn't wave it off, restarts, and then Jessica Rose Clark proceeds to beat the shit out of old girl.
He's right, because I know you can only use a replay in fight-ending sequences, but if that's not a legal knee, that's not a fight-ending sequence. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because in the chance that it is a legal knee, he stops it there, and then they find out if she can continue or not. But in the case of him using it like during a call, I think that could be used.
I thought it was fine. I didn't really understand the outrage other than like it was a bad look because
she was.
And I'm sorry, I can't remember her opponent's name. I don't mean any disrespect to her, but
Well,
I've never heard
thing.
of her before or
That's
after.
on her corner though.
But
That's
like
not on her.
she was bleeding pretty bad, so it looked bad.
Yeah.
If there wasn't so much blood, it would have just whatever.
Here's the thing. She still chose to step out there,
Yeah,
That's
the
on
ref
her,
was like,
that's
"Can
on
you
her and her
continue?" And
corner.
she was like, "Yeah." So what's the problem?
Yeah, there's
like,
no problem.
The announcers were freaking out. Oh, how could you let this
People
go?
are assholes, though. Did you hear what the guy asked her after the fight? She was like, "How does it feel to know that you beat your opponent up so bad before her wedding in 3 weeks?" She was like, "Why the fuck did you say that?" I was like, "Damn, bro, why are you saying that shit? That's fucked up." It's a fight. She signed up to fight. They're fighting.
I don't know about some of these guys. That's a terrible question.
That's a terrible question. Terrible question.
But I thought Jessica Rose Clark looked great.
Good. Yeah.
All the way around.
Yeah, I mean, she's had kind of like, mixed success and failures in the UFC.
I feel like if she gets it all dialed in like that, she could go somewhere.
I mean, yeah, she's got the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I feel like especially when we're talking about the women's division, so since it's like, it's not necessarily still in its infancy, but it hasn't necessarily like evolved at the same level as like the men's division as far as talent.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of women have gone through this thing where they mature during their career instead of where a lot of men like not to say it's just like a lot of the shit that was that's available to men wasn't available to women before. So like a lot of these women who are like the pioneers of MMA had to go out of their way to get good at wrestling, jiu-jitsu, striking, or whatever.
Yeah, they had to go fight their way into gyms that were like all dudes that didn't want to be rolling around with a woman.
My thing is a lot of them end up coming into the UFC as pretty one-dimensional, and then as they go along in their career, they start picking up the jiu-jitsu, the wrestling, the little tips and tricks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That is going to get them along against other like we were just talking, like Mackenzie Dern's a perfect example. Mackenzie Dern's someone who had a lot of big success in the jiu-jitsu world, but has never really, been in the fighting side of things. So now she's starting to get her, her striking and shit like that down. So like Ronda too. Ronda's a perfect example. She came in as a judo practitioner, and then, then her hands end up being biggest part of her arsenal later on in her career. Whether that was warranted or not, I mean, that's up for debate.
Well, let's mention Roxanne Modafferi
Another
in this
one, yeah.
debate as well,
She's-
because instead of being one-dimensional, she was actually fighting in MMA
yeah.
in Japan, and then people often who don't know her story, they'll criticize her and be like, "Well, how could you be this old, and you're still like your striking still looks that rudimentary?" Well, because she was fighting in Japan,
Yeah.
like when there was no women fighting, dude. You know how hard it was for her to get fights and to even
Yeah,
get anybody
no.
to fucking train with.
Yeah.
Like, and she just kept at that. But that's why she's having so much evolution now. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
someone else who, even at a later stage in her career, where she's definitely in the latter portion at this
Yeah.
point, clearly, but she's
Well-
still evolving because she's exposed to better training and acceptance at gyms now. Now
Yeah.
it's no big deal.
And that's what I mean, though, is like now because of that, the divisions are all starting to evolve to where like someone like Jessica Rose Clark's a perfect example. She came in and she started a
perfect
little
examples.
green. Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like the women's division is like, I'm just comparing it to her like evolution as a fighter. Like there's a lot
No, I
of
hear you.
women
I'm
who've
just
come
kidding.
in
Yeah.
who have to like mature during their career instead of being able to be like there's not a lot of sharpened like prospects that
Right,
come in who like, oh well, this guy's
They don't have
been,
the full game because they've been
There's-
training in MMA.
there's
their
not a
whole
lot
life.
of Aaron Picos in freaking women's division. There's
Right.
no one who's a wrestler, a boxer, a this, a that, and now they're gonna do MMA.
But the
You know
good
what I
news
mean?
is this next generation. there
That's what I'm
will
saying.
be.
It's gonna
Yeah.
continue to
Fuck yeah.
become shit like that.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're seeing with like people like Valentina. Like she's freaking ridiculous, dude. She is ridiculous. She is like the next wave. Like that's like gonna be
Yeah,
the
she is.
standard. You're gonna have to be that good to be the champion in those divisions for now until whenever someone beats her. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So-
I mean this is a woman that should be on anybody's short
Same
list
thing with
of,
Amanda.
like current greatest active MMA
Yeah.
fighters, not just women or men, but just fighters overall.
Well, that's why I
so she
like
can
how they
fight.
split a pound for pound list now. That there's a women's pound for pound list and a man's pound for pound list because there
The
is.
UFC, I don't like that.
I like it just because I don't think it's fair to compare because I feel like men have had so much more chance to evolve as a sport in MMA than the women's division has had. So how can you nitpick and be like, okay, well, Amanda, she's great, but she can't be in the top 5 because if you're gonna start talking about intergender fights, like what do we?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what
I
I
get
mean.
that
like,
argument, and I'm not saying I'm against it forever, but right now there's not enough women to
I get what you're
populate
saying. Yeah.
a top 10. There's just not. There's like 5
Yeah.
that are really
There
serious.
should be like a universal because actually the UFC don't they
Yeah, it's
own
because it's
Invicta?
only the UFC. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
they
don't they
only
own
pull the
Invicta?
UFC, and there's just dude, there's not even a 145-pound division. It's so you're talking about the top 10
exactly.
basically of the bantamweight division
pretty much
is
yeah.
your top
Yeah,
10.
if you look at it, it's a
pound
lot of
for
bantamweight,
pound.
it's a lot of
So,
flyweights.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Or
like,
strawweight,
for the
maybe.
most part, not
Yeah.
exactly that, but you get my point.
yeah.
Anyways, let's circle back here to UFC Vegas 11 so we can move past it and look ahead to Abu Dhabi.
Well, let's talk about another freaking hell of a fight. Was that Johnny Walker versus Ryan Spann fight? That was a freaking
Oh, man.
that was ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, we saw Johnny Walker get rocked and then come
Rocked.
back and just knock out Spann with some very vicious elbows and hammer fists.
I want to correct something I said last week too. Actually, Ryan Spann has been a fucking light heavyweight this whole time. He's just a big motherfucker, dude.
Wow.
I thought he was a heavyweight moving down to light heavyweight, but no, he's been a light heavyweight his whole career. Because you know why I thought he was a heavyweight? Because he fought Sam Alvey, and Sam Alvey's been like flirting with heavyweight all the time. You know what I mean? So that's why I thought he was a heavyweight.
Sam Alvey's 185 and sometimes goes to 205.
Dude, not recently. He's fought at heavyweight a few times in the UFC.
Not Smiling Sam.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're smoking too much weed.
Probably. But still.
That was a good fight,
that
though.
was
Johnny Walker, there was some people were trying to say those elbows were to the side of the head. They weren't. Those were clean.
Those
Or to the back of the head. I mean, they were to the side. They
To
were
the
clean.
side, yeah, they were clean.
Yeah, those were good. It was a good shot. The ref was right there. I like to call that the Travis Brown because he was the first guy I ever saw really
Dude.
do that when he did that to Josh Barnett, when he did those elbows when Josh was going in for the takedown. Like, I'd often wondered why fighters don't do something like that, and then Travis Brown just rained them fucking hammers down.
You know what
and
I think
now
it is?
That's what I think of when I see people do that. I call it the Travis
I
Brown.
think it's the possibility of finishing someone with an illegal blow. Like, I feel like people just try to stay away from
Stay
that.
away.
You know what I mean?
They
Just
should
in
implement it more because everybody seems to have success with that move when they do it.
John Jones, dude. John Jones fucking had some savage moments in that position.
Yeah. So
But yeah, here's the thing though: is what we also saw was Johnny Walker face adversity and then get himself together and then freaking get the finish. I mean, it was a
he
little
reset.
wild, but
It was wild. But
wild as fuck.
for Johnny Walker,
but
fight,
light
it was pretty
heavyweight
calm,
can be
though.
wild sometimes, you know.
Look, this dude's a wild man, and he showed a lot of restraint, I think, and he restrained himself afterwards. He's training with John Kavanagh out of SBG Ireland now, which is they don't fuck around down there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to let this dude be a fool. He's not Connor. You know what I mean? Connor's about the only dude who can just be like, fuck you, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, so my point being they're
Well, and
disciplined.
he's trained with Faraz for a little bit too.
Yeah, well, he's doing smart things.
Yeah.
And it seems to pay off. And I don't think he's ready for the title shot yet, but he's showing some improvement here.
Yeah.
So, exciting fight, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was the shit. I was really impressed.
I don't even really care to talk about what's next, but we got
Yeah, what about Cowboy and
No,
Nico
we gotta
Price?
talk. What about your boy, dude?
He's not my boy. I don't like him one bit. I respect his fighting, though.
Yeah, dude, that was disgusting. What we're talking about is that Khamzat Chimaev, dude, fucking knocked Jared Bushard out with one punch, dude.
Gerald Mishar got slept
Oh
with
my
just a
God.
absolutely textbook
Just fucking
straight
missile.
right hand.
Bink.
Perfect form. Shot it out like a fucking boxer, man. I'll give
Dude,
the
this
guy a
guy's
lot
legit.
of credit on
He's
that.
legit as fuck.
He's a legit fighter.
He's legit as fuck.
It must suck to be Gerald Mishar.
Oh, dude, talked all that shit about he will never fight on October 8th if I have anything to say about it. And then he
I
gets
mean, at
slept
least he
with
didn't
one
get
punch.
subbed.
Dude, he
'Cause
got
that was his
No,
big
dude.
thing. No, they made the big bet like he was going to retire if he got subbed.
No. That was the absolute worst case scenario.
I was just
of
trying
all,
to not shit on the guy that bad because I don't like that Chimaev motherfucker.
No, sure, you don't have to. What he did
he's a good
is what he
fighter,
did. That was literally worst case scenario. What happened that day? Like, bro, he got knocked out with
Lights
one
out.
fucking punch. Like, what was that? 14
And it
seconds.
wasn't
in?
even like some wild like Cody
No.
Garbrandt ducking down,
Dude, he just
jumping
hit him
up
with a
like
missile.
Superman. It was just a perfect missile.
Dude, right down the middle. Fucking.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he should really fight Damian Maia next because it's probably gonna knock him the
What's the
fuck
point
out
of that
too.
fight? Let's get the guy some
Yeah,
real
he should
competition.
fight like Wonder
please.
Boy. I know Wonder Boy's kind of, calling out for the first time in his career, Leon Edwards. But Chimaev also said he wants to fight Leon Edwards. So I don't know, make one of those fights.
Yeah, do that, please.
Don't fight Damian Maia.
Dude,
though, please.
Damian's old. He's
I
gonna
don't wanna
get
see
mauled
Damian
by
Maia.
this fucking.
He already
guy.
got knocked out by Gilbert earlier this year. I don't want to see him
Seriously,
get
let's
knocked
stop,
out
man.
again, dude. Like,
Stop.
fuck.
For real. I don't.
I think that fight was like scheduled, but never actually signed yet.
I hope so.
Because like he was like calling guys out, like he had an option on his next fight.
How could you sign it when he had an upcoming fight? Like sign it.
I
You
don't
can make
think he
promises
can.
to sign it because he
Yeah.
could get hurt.
Exactly.
And then what
I
if he's
think
all
he-
fucked up and he's got to sign a contract?
That's why I think
just
you
saying.
you agree to terms, but you don't
Yeah,
necessarily
you
sign.
don't sign on the dotted line until
Yeah.
after the other fight.
Yeah. So yeah, I would actually like to see
God,
them.
if he's
yeah.
smart, he don't want to fuck with Damian Maia, dude. Nobody wants to see that because everybody knows he's gonna fuck him up.
Or in
he
the
should
situation-
take a name right now.
Yeah.
Really seize the moment, dude. If you're gonna do it, I think he should shoot higher than Wonder Boy, frankly.
I think would make a lot of sense. Would maybe I mean he's not higher. He's higher than Damian Maia, so I'll take Vicente Luque.
That'd be a pretty sick fight.
Him versus Luque, dude. Luque's got a
Luque's a
fucking
beast.
chin on him, dude.
He's got a chin.
And he's fought
He
everybody.
brings it.
And he's like what 8th in the division. So what's up?
There you go.
He hasn't fought anybody who's ranked.
And he puts on a hell
Damian's
of
like
a show.
what 13th or something like that. I'll take Vicente Luque all day.
Damian's 13th out of respect.
Yeah,
mean,
he's had some rough times.
Let's be honest. He's like 53.
He's like 42.
He's pushing 74, man.
He's what 53?
No, but seriously, I think he is like 42 or 3.
I think so.
I'm gonna look it up.
But
But in the meantime, I think that makes a much better
at the
fight.
same time, it's like, come on, man. Like, how if this guy's legitimate, the UFC kind of needs someone to pop right now. So why not put him in with someone like Luque, who you know is gonna bring it the noise, and those fools will go to. And if he doesn't, if he sleeps fucking Luque, that's even bigger because that guy is like got the iron chin, bro.
Well, he turns 43 in like 5 weeks.
Oh,
So
jeez.
we're right on it, dude.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, don't do that.
Let's be real here.
Yeah, that's not.
He's earned his shit. He
Dude,
doesn't.
I don't want him to concuss Damian Maia at age 43.
For real. I think we can all agree he's gonna destroy that dude. Let's give him some real competition and see what's up, man.
Give him Robbie Lawler.
Oh my God. Let's not.
Or Neil Magny.
Dude, speaking of people that at some point you got to say let's not, let's go to the co-main event where we see one of my favorites of all time, dude, Donald Cowboy Cerrone fighting Nico Price. Winds up being a draw because of a lot of eye pokes in the opening and second round by Nico. Resulted in a point deduction, which meant that it was a draw instead of a win.
Yeah.
I mean, the fight was entertaining, but...
It was another case of 2 rounds to 1.
I don't know. Donald Cerrone's 0-4-1 now. In his last 5 fights, he's winless. How long do we keep this up?
Yeah, I don't know. But here's the deal, too, is like the eye pokes, and then fucking Donald poked him twice in the eye in the second round, too. It's like, fuck. Like, both of them were sitting there with their hands out the whole time. Which I get the style.
I'm not
like
saying
trying
Donald
to catch
did this, but if I
shit,
took 2 nasty eye pokes, I'd be...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I thought Donald's was worse. Donald fucking clawed him. Donald's was in his fucking eye, dude.
I mean, I'd at least land a nut shot from hell. I mean, you get 1 free nut shot.
Yeah.
You take 2 eye pokes, you should land a fucking nut shot on the other dude. That's just the way... I don't know. Maybe I just have that street mentality.
I don't know about a nut shot, dude, because, if he hits you on the right spot of the cup, dude, you could be down for... You could happen what's his name? Sergey Karatanov.
Oh, you get the busted ball?
Bust a nut, bro. Not in the good way, either.
In the worst way possible.
The worst way you want to have. But you know what I mean? I don't know. Those kind of situations, you kind of just got to look at it as I would really I consider it a win for Nico Price. I mean...
Well, yeah, and Donald, he's a man. He came out and said
rounds.
just what I just said. He was like, dude, it's only a draw.
They said they were down to run it back.
So we can see Nico Price beat up fucking Donald again.
Nico was fucking him up, dude.
He was. That's what I'm saying. For me, it's
dude,
I love Donald.
He outstruck him 85-20 in the first round or something like that.
You can't hang with these upper tier
There was a couple
guys.
times I was thinking it was going to get stopped.
Can we fucking stop?
Yeah.
I just don't. I hit a point where I just don't like seeing the guys just get beat up nonstop. Just stop getting beat up. Either go to somewhere where you can win,
or retire,
or fucking retire. And I love Donald.
Yeah.
And a guy does what a guy does. I mean, whatever. Yeah. But I'm just saying, as a fan, we're talking about what we like as fans on this show, right? As a fan, I don't like seeing Donald Cerrone keep fighting guys that kick his fucking ass.
Yeah, true.
Because he's got heart all day. He's never gonna stop. He's gonna keep going. He's tough as shit.
Yeah.
But you just. At what point is it okay, dude, we get it.
Yeah.
You're going to go out there and fight your ass off, and somebody better's going to kick your fucking ass.
Yeah.
You're not going to win a title now.
Because what? He's lost. Who did he lose to first, Connor or Tony?
I don't remember. His losses piled up. He
was
lost
it
to Connor
it
at
was
the beginning of the
Gaethje,
year.
Connor, Tony, this fight, right?
Yeah. I'll bring it up real quick. But at some point, for me, it's I love you, dude, but I don't like seeing you get beat up like this, man.
Yeah.
It's tough, dude. I mean, he's 36-15 and 1 with 1 no contest now, which is...
What are we looking at here record-wise?
That's a lot of fucking fights, man. And he's not fighting... Nico Price is not some nobody.
Yeah, Nico Price
he's fighting killers.
Legit. Nico Price is the last person that's not ranked that you want to fight. You know what I mean? Because, he's pretty much ranked in everyone else's eyes but the UFC's.
Yeah, so, I mean, he lost the decision to Pettis, and then he's TKO'd by Connor, and then he's TKO'd by Gaethje, and before that, it was the doctor stoppage to Ferguson. So he got a win over Al Iaquinta, a decision. That TKO over Alex Hernandez, which was nice, dude. That was great.
Yeah. And
then a win over Mike Perry. Those were solid wins, man. He subbed Mike Perry.
You know where I think everything went wrong for him? Is when he got KO'd by fucking George Masvidal. That's where it all went downhill.
Well, yeah, that set off a string. I mean,
Like his record was pretty clean before that.
yeah, he had that bad loss to Rafael dos Anjos in the title fight at 155, where
But
he
at
came
that
out and
point,
just
he had,
got
what,
blitzed,
3 losses?
right?
It was like...
And he comes back, he subs Alex Oliveira, which is solid.
Yeah.
Like, Alex Cowboy
Yeah.
Oliveira is no joke, right?
Yep.
He subs him, and then he gets a TK over Patrick Cote. This is all at 170. And then he gets a win over Rick Story when Rick Story was something.
That was his signature win
Yeah.
right there.
Then he gets a win over Matt Brown with that KO kick. That was solid, too, because that was back in 2016.
Yeah.
You know, Matt Brown was still a bit of a force. But then right after that is when he gets the TKO to Masvidal. That was in Denver, too. That's right. It was hometown.
Yep.
2017. Then he loses the decision to Lawler. Then he gets TKO'd by Darren Till in a fight. You had no business even taking that fight, dude. Like, I was cringing when they announced that matchup, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just terrible. Then he gets the TK over Yancy Medeiros, which was solid,
Eh,
right? For what it was. It's not like Yancy is some force in the division. But then he gets the decision loss to Leon Edwards.
But
then he goes on that nice little streak with Mike Perry, Oliveras, and Ally Aquinta. But then after that, it's just,
what?
dude, it's
Tony,
tough with that Tony Ferguson loss and the Justin Gaethje
Connor,
loss, then Connor,
Jesus.
and then the Pettis decision, and now he got his beat down by Nico Price.
Yep.
I mean,
I mean, the Pettis fight was close, though.
the Pettis fight was close. I guess what makes it tough is that the Ferguson fight was brutal.
Yeah. Ferguson, the Connor, and the Justin
Connor and the
fights
Gaethje fights were brutal.
were fucking brutal.
I mean, and Connor was just like 40 seconds or whatever, but it was
And
fucking.
broke
Even
his
those
orbital, dude.
shoulder
Like, what the
strikes were
fuck?
brutal. It was like, holy fuck, dude. He's
Yeah.
taken so much in the last few fights. So, for me, I'm over. Really, it's not that I don't want to see Cowboy fight, but I don't want to see Cowboy fight. I'm like, if they were announced his next fight, I'm not like, oh yeah, because I'm. This is a really good matchup. He's probably just going to get beat up again, man.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably still gonna be happy if they announce Cowboy fight.
We'll see who it is, because I'm sure he's not quitting.
Yeah, true.
Tough fight, though.
No doubt.
So what about the main event, man? We had the grudge match finally, 170 pounds. Former champ Tyron Woodley. Former interim champ Colby Covington. It was what, we talked about last week, frankly.
Yeah.
Beat down of 5 rounds by Colby Covington, ending in a TKO, verbal submission,
Yeah, due to broken ribs.
broken ribs. He was ridiculously outpunched.
Yeah.
I mean, the third round, I believe it was 113-2.
The first 2 rounds were close, though.
They weren't.
Not close, but I'm saying, like, Tyron was in the fight the first 2 rounds.
The first round, I mean, you got Colby.
That takedown was quick, but then he popped up real quick.
Yeah, but Colby's boxing looked great, and he outstruck him 37-13, landed 62%, and he was landing some mean elbows up against the fence.
Yeah,
Colby
I'm just saying he was in the fight the first 2 rounds. It was actually competitive.
In
After
round
the third
2,
round,
he was a little bit better. Woodley was moving better in round 2, but then
And
he
he
got
was
right back
defending
up
the
against the
takedown.
fence.
Here's the thing. The
Right
biggest
back up
thing
against
is,
the fence, though.
this is what fucked the whole fight up for him, though. In the first round, when he took him down, he stopped. For the first, 15 to 20 seconds, Tyron actually fucking threw some feints and fucking looked like he was going to get out there and strike, and then fucking Colby takes him down. It fucked his whole confidence up.
You know what
literally.
else fucked him up? People talk shit for some reason about Colby not having any punching power, really, because the very few times that Woodley tried to come out, like in round 3, Woodley tried some aggression, and then he ate a bunch of fucking shots from Colby, and it was like, oh fuck, and then just back up against the fucking cage.
Yeah.
Like, if those were pillow fists, he would just eat them and then knock out Colby.
Yeah. I don't like Colby's new team, though. I wish he was still at American Top Team. I think that his new team kind of makes it. There's too much of a jiu-jitsu style with them. I feel like his best case scenario would be to still be with what's that guy's name? The one that's Amanda's coach too.
Well, I don't know. I mean, look at round 4. Round 4 was a hell of a round for Colby Covington.
Yeah, but I think if he was fucking, I thought Woodley was gonna quit in the third. I think he was already after the third. His fucking entire Watch his face in the fight. Like from the third on, he's fucking gone. He's
Dude,
not
he's
in
had
the
that
fight.
face
Like
since
you know what I
fucking
mean?
Kamaru Usman round
like,
1.
Exactly. Like he just has this, like you can tell when he's in the fight and he's not in the fight. Like literally, he just looks away like into the camera and he's just like looking at the clock.
I don't get
That's
it.
literally what he does.
I don't
Like in
understand.
the first 2 rounds, he was actually engaged in the fight is what I'm saying. Like he was defending takedowns. He was trying to stop Colby's onslaught.
Well, by round 4, he's getting,
He's
you know,
just
Colby's
getting beat
taking him
up.
down with a high crotch dump and ground and
Yeah.
pounding the hell out of him and opened up
Yeah.
them 2 big ass cuts and was just whooping his ass the whole 4th round.
Yeah.
And then in the 5th round, he verbally submits in a bad look. He's like, ow, ow, ow.
Yeah.
It was, you know.
I can see where it happened though, because like it's his own fault that it happened, because his dumbass was trying to do that fucking standing guillotine he always tries to do, which he's never ever finished ever in a fight. I've never seen Tyron Woodley ever standing guillotine anybody.
No.
And so he tries that every
He just
time.
burns
and what
his big ass arms out.
No, it's not even what happened though. Is he didn't burn his arms out. He tried to hold on to Colby's head as he lifted him and rotated.
Yeah.
So he lifted him, rotated, which naturally is going to make your fucking torso cave in. You fucking idiot! What are you doing? He
Well,
wanted
it
out
was
of
a smart
there,
move
you
by
know?
Colby,
Oh yeah, for sure.
but a dumb plan by Woodley to hang
Yeah.
on to it. But it was just it was an ass whooping, dude.
Yeah, it was not
And-
good. I don't know why he took this fight in the beginning. We talked about this last week. I don't think Tyron
This
should
guy
ever
can't.
take
He
this
shouldn't
fight.
be fighting at this point. Not in the UFC. I mean, he says he's not going to change anything. He's not going to retire, and everything's all good. And he doesn't know what went wrong. Really, I know what went wrong.
You didn't have any offense
Yeah,
whatsoever.
you backed up against the cage and stood there.
Here's the problem.
Which-
That used to work for him in his career, because you know what he'd do? He'd explode and throw combos off, using it almost like as a springboard. But now what he does
doesn't do that
is
ever.
He takes time off on the cage instead now.
Yeah, well, the time off turns into the whole round every single time. I mean, the one time he tried real aggression in that fight was round 3, and Colby simply slipped the big right hand that came, slipped over to the left, and then just peppered fucking Tyron with shot after shot after shot until he backed right up against the cage again and shelled up, and then there we go.
Here's the thing: this is
No
not the
ass
fight.
whooping.
This is not the fight it was when it was first announced in 2016.
I don't know. This has been Woodley for a minute now.
I don't think so, because I think if it was Woodley after the Damian Maia fight, wouldn't he fight till? I think if he fought him then, it would have been a different fight, just because he was more aggressive then. He was more. He was. I think his body has failed him. I think his fucking that whole thing with his wrist and shit. He doesn't throw his hands anymore.
Whatever it
dude.
is, he's completely in denial about it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, 100%.
But you know what I mean? Like there was a reason he like took what was it? He very similar to a lot of these like Kane and guys like that. How long was it that he took? It was like 8 months off when he was champion for his like degenerative like arthritis in his hands. Like
What about the Marquardt KO? There's a lot of people that say that's it, that made him gun shy ever since he got slept by Nate Marquardt, and that
not
turned him
necessarily,
into
because he came to the
the
UFC
shit.
and had some good performances after that.
I see. That's what I think as well. That's like the big
He-
thing
he-
that's online right now.
He came into the UFC and was aggressive from the get go. Like you can't say that and then look at the fucking who was it? Homeboy from the Ultimate Fighter that he knocked out on his feet.
I don't remember.
Dude with the he's a wrestler also. Fucking the blonde curly hair. He fought GSP also.
Josh Koscheck.
Josh Koscheck.
Yeah.
Remember he fucked Josh Koscheck though.
Yeah, he did.
Then he
fuck
came
Josh
into the
Koscheck.
UFC and then he
Back
knocks
with
Robbie
Koscheck or
out.
something.
You know, like you can't.
He did get Robbie after some wars, but whatever. He beat Robbie Lawler pretty
He sucked
soundly.
Robbie though. That punch.
And
I
then,
don't give a fuck how.
then he got
what
champ-itis, dude.
Yeah. Held on to it.
He got
Although the first fight with fucking Wonder Boy, he was aggressive as fuck then too. It's the second one of Wonder Boy fight that was terrible.
whatever it is. He's a shell of himself right now, and I don't
Absolutely.
think he has any business fighting until he figures out what's up. Because he doesn't seem, like you said, he stares off like he doesn't want to be there. And it wasn't like he just did that in the Colby fight. He did that in the Burns fight. He did that in the Usman fight. And not only did he do it in those fights, he did it for 5 fucking rounds every fight.
Yeah,
It's
dude. Well, that's the thing is
it's something,
now
man.
he's got 15 rounds to 0 in his last 3 fights, and he's
And
got
it's basically-
3 10-8s. 3 10-8s, a 10-8 in all 3 fights.
You could probably argue that he hasn't won a single minute of any of those rounds.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, nah, there's some minutes. Just because he's so
Like
methodical.
a full 60 seconds?
Yeah, I don't
where
know.
you're like, Oh,
oh shit. Yeah, I don't know.
and I'm not
bro.
trying to be mean. It's just
just
it's
is what it
what we
is.
got to look at reality, man.
Yeah.
Like, and he's taken a lot of punishment,
Yeah, for sure.
and it's worrisome.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I think he's been a great champion. I think he's a tremendous athlete. I think he's done a lot of great things, but I don't. If this is the way you're fighting now, dog, you should either retire or you should retire, dude. You got other shit going on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, people joke about his rap career, but dude, they're just haters, man. I mean, I ain't listen to his shit. It seems corny, but dude, everybody seems corny until they get fucking better.
yeah.
Just go grind on that, man.
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
I don't know,
you have
but
that TMZ show.
you
You
don't-
could use. You got
he's an
UFC
analyst.
Tonight. All that shit.
Yeah,
I don't
he
know
does
if he's
some
on that
movie shit.
anymore, but he's got movie shit.
He's
Yeah,
an interesting dude. Like, come on, man. You don't
Do
need to get
something.
just
You
your
gotta
head
do all
beat
that
in if you're just
shit.
gonna sit there.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
So yeah, I don't know. And on Colby's side, obviously, what makes sense next would either be some kind of #1 contender fight or a rematch with the champ. But the champ is scheduled to fight in December, which I don't know if I'm Colby if I want to wait around all the way till next March to fight, because let's say because Burns and Usman have been so close in the gym and stuff that this ends up being a technical war where both guys come out a little beat up, and Usman notoriously has tons of shit going on with his body. So
Yes.
like here's
Gonna have that nasty double hernia coming off the Woodley
yeah.
fight.
Yeah, and then he broke his wrist against Colby, and then you know what I mean? So it's like if he comes out with some kind of injury, then we're gonna go into next year in April,
Yeah,
May
you
that
get
you're
down in
gonna
the
fight.
summer,
Nah,
like,
I
and you're
think
coming
it's-
off a COVID
yeah.
delay. I think Colby wants.
So something that he's calling for to maybe make sense is George if the Nate Diaz negotiations fall apart, obviously. But
George Masvidal versus Colby Covington in the BMF title fight. I like.
I don't think there's ever going to be a BMF title belt attached to anybody but Nate and George. Even if he fights Connor, I don't think anybody's going to actually I don't think the UFC is going to run that BMF gimmick unless it's just Nate and George. They've kind of
I don't know.
stood
I
their
don't think
ground
there's
on
any
that.
demand whatsoever to see Nate and George Part 2. I just don't think it's there. And Nate's so notorious to get to the table.
Yeah.
I think he'll hold out. And Dana's such an dude. Since the Fertitas left, Dana's fuck you attitude to fighters has just gotten even worse. Like, if you don't sign the fight, he's like, cool, fuck you, and we'll move the fuck on.
True.
I mean, Masvidal only got that title shot because Fight fucking Island, bro, and because they needed a fucking
Burns got the COVID.
in the COVID, and they needed he had to have a big fight come in.
Because in all honesty, Burns was a more legitimate #1 contender. If you ask
Of
me.
course he was, but Dana was desperate, and thus Masvidal got what he wanted. Because before that, what was Dana to
But then
Masvidal?
again,
He was
is
fuck
he
you.
Yeah. But then again, is he though? Because then if you look at fucking how T Wood looked against fucking Colby again, it's like who is that's the thing is we're measuring there's a fucking generational gap in this division right now. There's the guys who were the ones who kind of led this division in the early to mid 2010s. And now there's the guys who are the fresh blood of the division that own this division now. Guys like Robbie Lawler, guys like Tyron Woodley, guys like Damian Maia, guys like Wonderboy Thompson are just kind of being tossed to the side because they are now hitting the age of should you still be fighting? And even RDA, those are all guys who kind of have to
RDA. Jesus.
they kind of have to look at this division and go, are we willing to take the beatings of a guy like an Usman or fucking Colby or even Leon Edwards or there's tons
Right.
or that fucking new guy Chimaev there's
Right.
a lot of
There's a lot of vicious new blood.
and
And
hungry
these guys are especially when you look at Colby and you look at obviously Usman. These are guys with very good wrestling and incredible
all around
punching.
game. Yeah.
And good jiu-jitsu defense, and they're coming out and whooping some fucking ass.
Yep.
And I would rather see Masvidal versus Covington. Coming back to that, I think that's what's going to happen most likely. I just don't think Nate's going to come to the table reasonably, and I don't think Dana's going to take any shit. He's been on fuck you mode to everybody.
Yeah.
So
I'd kind of like to see Colby versus Nick Diaz though,
the Nick Diaz thing, maybe.
because I'd like to see just how Nick Diaz fights. Nick Diaz has like a similar like style, but not like as polished as Colby's. You know what I mean? Like
Dude,
where
I
like
believe Nick is fighting,
when I see it, yeah, I know.
and it's not I don't mean any disrespect to
I
him,
know.
but these are just two guys that you just have to look
Yeah.
at people's history. They're very hard to bring to the
Yeah,
table.
true.
I believe he's training hard. I believe he put in a tough 14 weeks, and but that doesn't mean he's going to sign the contract because the UFC could come with some bullshit number.
Yeah, true.
It's not Nick's fault if the UFC comes with some bullshit number and he's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if we're talking about a company that was willing to pay people, then it'd be a given. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, Nick's back.
Yeah.
And that's I guess that's what I mean with Nate too.
Yeah, a lot of these fights
It's
are
not that
dying
Nate's
at the
hard to
negotiating
bring to the table. It's that the
Yeah.
UFC offers crap money, and during the COVID, they've been offering even shittier money. And during the COVID, Dana's "fuck you" attitude has been ramped up even
And he's
more.
out here signing
He don't give a
guys for
shit.
2 G's.
Right, and if he's got a backup in Colby,
Yeah.
then he doesn't need Nate so much for that fight. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And so I don't mean to sound like I'm blaming Nate or Nick for this. It's the UFC coming low on cash, which is a story that there's plenty of evidence for that, dude. We don't need to dive.
Well, here's
down that
here's my
fucking
question
rabbit
in the
hole.
end though. Let's just live in a world where Nick Diaz does fight Colby Covington. If Nick Diaz beat Colby Covington, would you put him in a title fight?
Yes, Colby Covington is, in my eyes, without a doubt, the number 2 welterweight, and he's just behind Usman. That Usman fight was neck and neck until the
I
last round.
disagree. I think Burns would beat Colby. I think Burns beats Colby
I
and
got to see
Usman.
Burns beat more than what is a washed-up Tyron Woodley at this point.
Yeah.
Let's
But
see how he does with
I think
Usman.
Burns beats Usman and Colby because I think
If Burns beats Usman, then yeah, I think Colby's got his hands full there.
because you know why I think Burns
We'll see.
is like he's polished in all the defensive ways to shut down both their games. You know what I mean? Like he's like they're grapplers on the the wrestling side of things and not so good on the jiu-jitsu side of things. Whereas he's good on his feet and he's good at grappling on the jiu-jitsu side. So like if a big thing with Colby and Usman is take you down and beat the dog shit out of you. You know what I mean? Like and put the pace on you on top of you. You know what I mean? And I just feel like if they were to try to do that to Burns, he just has so many. We've seen Burns live. Like he's one of those guys who's like a lifelong grappler. No matter his fight career, he's been grappling since day one, and he's going to continue to grapple outside the UFC and in all these different tournaments. So I just don't see a situation where Usman or Colby takes him down and really just beats the shit out of him because he has so much defense off his back that I just don't see it happening.
I got to see more before I'm there.
Yeah.
But what about Nick Diaz? I mean, personally, I think
I would have to see Nick fight.
I
I don't know.
I think
I don't know.
at this stage of their careers,
How old? Is
I think that Colby would put a whooping out on Nick.
But I wouldn't put it past Nick to catch him.
Yeah, I
Drop
mean he's. It's not like he's. I mean, he's Nick Diaz, man. He's one of the greats, but this is a Nick Diaz that's 5 years out of the game, and as the type of fighters that have traditionally shown very little evolution.
Yeah.
Now, the skill set that they do have is top notch, and it's not disrespectful, but the game does change up, and I just don't know. I don't know. I'd have to see it, man.
I feel you.
I hope that. I don't know. I want Nick to fight. I just don't think the UFC
There's
is going
just
to
a
come
lot
with
of
the
there's
cash.
just a lot
man.
of question marks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are guys that want cash and deserve it.
They do, yeah.
You know,
because
I'm not faulting them at all for that
Yeah.
shit. They know what their value is, but at some point, I don't understand the UFC, dude.
I don't either, because they're hypocritical as fuck. Because that's just really what it comes down to. Because
I mean, you got Jessica Rose Clark, which showing her $17 bank account.
she
And then
lives
you
in
got
her car.
Dana White showing his fucking goddamn suite. And it's like, how are we supposed to feel about these things? Like, I'm uncomfortable seeing fighters show their bank accounts like that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
that's the
uncomfortable
thing.
that it's that low. I'm uncomfortable that you showed it.
The difference between the UFC and Bellator may be talent,
Oh.
but the difference between UFC and Bellator money is the percentage that you get when you fucking fight for the company. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And
Whether
the
it be
allowance of
pay-per-views or
outside
whatever.
sponsors, which is, I mean, a big deal.
Big deal.
You know.
Yeah. That's why. Well, this all ties into.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. This all ties into. We'll put that to rest. Colby Covington beats up Tyron Woodley. It's kind of just where it is.
Absolutely. He's going to fight one of those two guys next.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
three. One of those three.
Yeah.
Most likely, I say George.
I think he's gonna fight. I think he might hold out till he fights Usman again.
He could. He could
I
have
think-
him. He's a stubborn son of a bitch.
He is he's super stubborn. So
He don't give a fuck.
I just didn't understand the whole stop running from me thing after he was like, I was like, all right.
Yeah,
I was
Usman
like,
wasn't
all right,
running. You
I
guys
get
just
it.
fought.
It's like I get it with you say it with like George because you know like you
Right.
guys like had beef in the camp and shit like that. But Usman already fought you. Like you guys fought and like
Yeah, you
it
guys put
wasn't.
on a great, very close fight.
Yeah, dude. Like
5-round thriller.
you can't say stop running from me when you guys have already fought.
Fucking totally.
But all right, so let's move on. So some big news also for the UFC this week is Michael Chandler has agreed to terms on I don't think they announced how many fights, but a deal with the UFC with a little stipulation to it as well that he is now signed to be the backup for the Khabib versus Gaethje card.
It's coming up.
I believe it's October.
Yeah, it's
19th,
bookending this series of fights like we mentioned
29th,
at Fight
24th,
Island.
something like that.
Yeah, now he was offered to Poirier and to Tony Ferguson, who both declined that fight. And then in a kind of a fuck you move by Dana, he puts in Michael Chandler as the backup.
Yep.
And the for now de facto number one. Now we'll see if that holds up after the fight because he's already saying, "Well, I don't know if he's next for the winner because he's Dana." But for now,
I would have loved to see Poirier versus Michael
they're
Chandler.
putting a lot of shine on Michael Chandler.
I do want to say something real quick. Fuck everyone online who's talking shit about Michael Chandler. You guys don't know shit if you're talking shit about Michael Chandler. This fool is literally been one of the best lightweights in the world for the last 7 years.
Dude,
and just
MMA
has not
fighting-
been in the UFC. Like people are shitting on his name, and you're just
MMA
all gonna look
shat
like
all
fools.
over him. And
Even
that
if he
Jed
loses-
Meshew fucking
Yeah,
called
even
him.
if he
Oh my
loses to
God.
Khabib or Gaethje, that doesn't mean shit. Like he's still going to be a big player in this division for however long he's in the UFC.
Dude, those guys were saying he couldn't beat a single fighter in the top.
Yeah,
10.
like, what the
he couldn't
fuck,
stand a
dude?
prayer.
That's
like
ridiculous. That's just ridiculous.
disrespect on his name
Disrespect.
coming online.
Oh my god.
I don't get it
it's
either,
bad.
man. The guy's a stellar fighter.
Yeah.
He's a Division I All-American.
Yeah.
Khabib has not faced a wrestler with his credentials before. Now he is facing Gaethje, but Gaethje doesn't use that wrestling
Yeah.
traditionally in his fights, whereas Chandler absolutely does.
Yeah.
So it would be an interesting fight.
Yeah.
Him versus Khabib.
Absolutely.
Although I think if someone's not going to show up, it's likely to be, if it were to happen.
I think it would be Khabib, wouldn't
not
show up.
Gaethje.
Yeah.
So
I've never heard of Gaethje ever pulling out of a fight.
no, me neither, but it has happened before. So what do you think if that happens? Do you think we get a strip here? Because we've already had one interim, and now we've got a second interim.
Like who defends an interim belt? Like come on. Like the UFC would just throw it on the list of hypocritical shit they've done this week if they don't, you know.
The guy doesn't fight very often. Like you can't deny that at this point. He's not a very
And I get it. He's gone through some shit, and that's understandable.
well. Even before his family issues and his father passing
Yeah.
away, he didn't fight very often.
No. It's the thing is
I mean,
Cross
we've
our
had
fingers
two
we get
interim
there.
champions because he doesn't fight very often.
true.
Like Gaethje's the second one
Yeah.
in a title reign that's seen him beat Conor and then one interim champion and now facing the second interim champion
Yeah.
due to inactivity
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Yeah. Whether it be
Whether it be his dad here recently. I hear the Ramadan thing a lot, which I don't understand because there's plenty of other fighters like Muhammad Alal does. I mean, whatever, to each his own.
Well, why does that mean he can only fight once a year?
Yeah, that
doesn't
doesn't
make
like
sense.
what like one period of the calendar year doesn't have anything to do with the whole rest of the year. Yeah. So I don't get it, but I hope he makes it to the fight
Yeah.
because that'll be a great one. However, if he doesn't, that is a solid question as to what happens next.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think the UFC would have to strip him personally, but Dana likes him.
Yeah.
Feels like he brings a big crowd in from that market.
Yep.
So probably not going to
happen. Wouldn't be the first star Dana's fucked over though.
No.
It won't be the last either.
No.
So I don't know, but here's the thing: is people need to stop putting so much hate on Michael Chandler's name. He's gonna be right in the mix of this
I agree with you,
division
brother.
for fucking years.
Yes.
And
And
Khabib-
hopefully after this he gets a good fight.
Here's the thing though: is like he's fucking. He was talking about. I was watching interview with him and Brett Okamoto. He was talking about how like even though he wasn't in the UFC, he was just like always studying Khabib, thinking like, you know, if I ever made that leap to the UFC, I'll be ready. And to think of that like in that like mindset, like I'd really like to see what would happen. Just because like the difference between him and Gaethje is like Gaethje's a good wrestler, but like just because he's a good wrestler doesn't mean he's been wrestling the rest of his career since he's been so heavy on his hands and fallen in love with his striking. Like, yeah, he's got great wrestling, but there's also a chance that Justin Gaethje is not very heavily like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a chance he's not wrestling every day of his life also. Like if he's falling in
Yeah, I
love
don't know
with
what
his
he's
hands,
doing in the gym.
Exactly.
But he doesn't use it in his fights.
Exactly. So it's like theoretically he should be good enough to stop Khabib based on his wrestling credentials. But there's no promises.
Yeah, how sharp is that tool?
But with Michael Chandler, he's a guy who some fights he'll take someone down and dominate them on top. Some fights he'll knock your fucking head off. Some fights he'll do both. So he's someone who's been in the gym with Kamaru Usman on numerous occasions, helping him get ready for title
Right.
fights. So you know those guys are always wrestling. So I think next to Gaethje, Michael Chandler probably would have the best chance of stopping Khabib's wrestling. One thing he said, it was really strange. Strange, but smart at the same time. He goes, okay, so not to really give anything away, but how do you feel like you would beat Khabib? And he goes, I think I'd break him mentally. I was like, what? Because that's supposed to be like his biggest thing. And he
Yeah, I
goes,
don't know about
and he
that.
goes, not because I'm gonna get into his mind or anything, but just because when you're someone as dominant as Khabib, you're so used to being able to have success in so many areas. And I just feel like with my style, I'm just going to fuck his brain up so bad because everything that he does great, I do great too. And he's not going to be able to do what he wants to do. It's going to fuck with his head.
Dude, I think if Khabib wins against Gaethje, that's the fight to make, is Chandler versus Khabib.
I
think the UFC needs to...
I was like, yeah, they need to make this fight.
They need to... Look, Chandler's 34 years old. He's not going to be in the UFC a long time.
Yeah.
The UFC's paid him a decent amount of money, apparently. We can just assume.
I don't think so, because he goes.
Well, decent for UFC.
They go. Did you take the best deal on the table, or the one that made the most sense for you legacy wise? And he goes, let's just say I picked the one that my heart chose. I was like,
so legacy.
Oh, dude. That
All
means
right,
they
well, shocker.
fucked you. That means they fucked you, dude.
Well, either way, the second he loses, he's going to lose a lot of shine.
Yeah.
Okay, because he's a Bellator guy.
You got to strike while the iron's hot.
So they got to strike while the iron is hot. If they put him against somebody else and he loses, he's never going to fight Khabib.
Yeah.
But if they might be able to hype that up as a big fight. And
I
I'd
don't
like to see
necessarily
it.
think so because I don't think he will lose to any of those guys. That's the thing. I think that he is in a very like.
Well, for some weird
interesting
reason,
point.
Ferguson and Poirier both turned that fight down and said they're going to hold out to fight each other again when Dana already was like, you guys are asking for too much money.
Yeah.
No.
For a 3-round fight, yeah. Like.
And then he pieced out on the whole idea and removed everybody from the card and was like, how many times am I say it this podcast? He did the fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm moving on.
Yep.
And now he's got another tool he can use in those negotiations.
I wonder if
being
he's getting
Chandler.
paid to show up and make weight.
You got to be as a backup to be getting something, at least under the table.
Yeah.
Or not, I don't mean under the table, but not publicly.
Yeah.
Dude, speaking of, well, we'll never know now because Nevada doesn't release that information anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Nevada State Athletic Commission voted to quit releasing fighter purse information.
Wow.
And then Mike Russell on Twitter was breaking or sharing somebody else's story. I believe it was Josh Nash's story that the Fertitta brothers have been funneling money to the Nevada State Athletic Commission and the senators through all these various casinos that they own, like way more than they're supposed to have. They had all these papers online. And Russell was basically saying it was a payoff to the Nevada State Athletic Commission in order to remove fighter purses. Now, I don't know how legit that is. That guy, in my mind, is a legit reporter. But I don't know what he's got to back that up because he does put a lot out there. So...
Damn, that's intense if that's true.
Yeah, because it's a weird thing for them to suddenly do.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And it definitely benefits the UFC to not have that public.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no doubt, yeah.
So, but I hope Chandler's getting something. I assume he's getting something to make weight because he has to go to camp and make fucking weight and weigh in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's a great signing overall by the UFC if they play it right. Hopefully he gets a great fight. I think it's unlikely we're going to see him fill in for anybody in this title fight.
I don't think. I hope not.
Right. And hopefully afterwards he gets something really juicy we can talk about.
Man, I wish Dustin Poirier would just like 9th hour fucking sign the fight him.
That'd be dope.
That's the fight, man.
But it's the same story. We keep saying, oh, these guys want to get paid more.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand that too.
Yeah.
But other than Michael Chandler, of course, the big upcoming thing is UFC 253, which we've mentioned here several times. It is the return to Abu Dhabi, the so-called Fight Island. We've got a good card at the top.
Yeah.
Here we've got Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa, 2 undefeated fighters for the 185-pound championship. And then in the co-main event, also a 5-round title fight, we got John Jones's vacant title. He has vacated it. We've got Dominic Reyes and Jan Blachowicz fighting for that title.
Yep.
So the rest of the card, I mean, there's a good flyweight scrap there, but I mean, the UFC's turned into boxing when it comes to good fights at the top and a bunch of filler.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I don't even know if it's filler. It's just guys that they're signing off the streets that nobody knows.
seriously,
really what it is.
I don't.
Like these Dana White Contender Series guys and all these different people that they're signing that I don't know if they're paying them adequately either. So
No, it's cheap labor. There's been some articles on that, going around, some talk about that. I mean, look, they're trying to hit that number for ESPN, and they're trying to do it as cheap as possible. I'm just hoping that after we get through this year, this isn't a trend that continues.
yeah, hopefully not.
Like,
Well, let's just talk about the fight at the top of the bill here real quick. Let's talk about it. Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. Dude, you can go back about 25 episodes from now. We were talking about this. What if they fought when I think both of them had like 3 or 4 fights in the UFC? And
Yeah.
We're like, damn, these guys are gonna fight for the belt one day.
absolutely.
And now
We
they're fighting
did.
for the belt.
And here we are, both still undefeated.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. I think Israel is probably going to retain the belt here.
I'm going to favor the champ as well, but he's going to have his hands full.
You know what I think is going to be the difference in the fight? Is just their punching style. Whereas, like, Israel's more of like a down the middle kind of like, he's got crisp striking, whereas, he gets from point A to point B quick. He's got that fast switch muscle. Whereas, like, Paulo
Right,
comes
he's a decorated kickboxer, so he comes with a lot of those classic striking credentials.
And I feel like he's going to try to beat up his front leg to try to get... Because what Paulo does great is he's not much of a jab kind of guy. He fucking throws a lot of hooks and uppercuts, and he walks you down. So I think a big thing for Israel is going to be cutting him off and hitting him with those leg kicks, trying to take some of that power off his shots. And, I think speed and really,
His precision.
not only that, I think it's also going to come down to you can't operate with that much muscle at full bore for 5 rounds straight.
No, he's shown a pretty good gas tank in the past, but I tend to agree with you. The guy is humongous.
He's huge.
I don't know how he makes weight.
I don't.
And I'm not just saying that. Like, I have no
He's
idea.
He's talked about it that he wants to eventually move to 205.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He will fucking dominate, I think.
I've heard he's walking around at 223.
Yeah. That's fucking Jesus. Damn near 40-pound cut.
So I mean, whew.
That's nuts.
So I mean, I would tend to agree with you that between Israel's more precise striking
and his ability to get away too,
and his fight IQ, because they may have similar number of UFC or MMA fights, but Israel Adesanya is a much more decorated fighter overall. I mean, he's got close to 100 kickboxing fights. I mean, he's got like 80, 90 something. So that and what you just said about just the overall taxing muscle weight that he's carrying around over a 5-round fight, you got to give the edge to Adesanya here.
Yeah.
But if he makes one mistake, he's going to get fucked up. One mistake.
He makes one mistake, he's gonna get fucked.
Dude, he is. He's going to... Costa will run. He's not going to stand like Yola Romero and be all hesitant.
Israel's got a pretty solid
If he
chin,
rocks him, Costa's going to move in for the kill, and we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, that's just dangerous. Like, he's very, very dangerous. Like, this is a guy that's... Like, he might tire out, and he might throw some kind of looping wild punches from time to time, but he is a tank.
Yeah.
And he's tough as shit.
Yeah.
And
He did get rocked by Yoel too, though.
he did, but he came forward with it.
He what? I think if that's a 5-round fight, I think Paulo loses that fight.
The Romero fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
Because I feel like in the third round is when Yoel is really starting to like.
But this is, look at
That's
Romero
Yoel
in the...
every fight, though. That's Yoel
Except
every
the Adesanya fight.
Yeah, except
he didn't do it then.
do shit.
So who knows? But, if I was betting money and picking, I'd pick Adesanya. But, man,
I think
that's
Adesanya
smart, my guy.
by TKO in round 4.
Oh, wow. I don't think we're going to a decision here.
Think you're
I'd
going
be
to decision?
impressed with a TKO. I think we're getting a Costa knockout if he wins, which I think is very unlikely, or we're most likely getting a decision. But I don't expect it to be boring like the Romero fight was. I expect it to be more, akin to like the Gastelum fight.
Yeah. I could see it being like the Gastelum fight. Very similar.
Yeah.
Which is why I think
Except Paulo Costa's way bigger than Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah. But I think that's why he gets TKO'd. I don't think he gets slept by Israel. I think he gets fucking gassed and just fucking broke. You know what I mean? Like one of those situations where it's not like he's knocked out, but he's so exhausted that they stop the fight and they're
Eating
just
so
like
many fights,
they're
so
like,
many
nah.
punches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. I feel it.
Yeah. That's what I think happens.
Well, what about the 205, the new champ of sorts? I mean, it's a real champ, but John Jones still lurking
I
around.
think people
It's
are
tough.
sleeping on Jan.
I think they are too. That dude's live. I think he might be the guy. That's my sort of upset pick right there. I'll tell you.
Because I think Dominic could be perfect in that fight, and Jan could still sleep him with one punch.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I haven't looked at the odds. I'm just assuming that Reyes is favored to win here, but
Yeah, he is.
I'm going with the upset. I think Jan's going to pull it off with the Polish power. My guy is going to.
And I don't even know if they were to rematch if he would be able to beat Dominic again.
I don't know either.
I just think that he has enough power in his hands to win that fight at any point.
And I think he's got enough of a chin
Yeah, to
withstand
Yeah.
for a while till he can land that punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm picking.
And Jan has some really underrated grappling. If you go back and you watch
he's
his fight,
solid.
we watched his fight against Jacare Souza. Jacare spent 5 rounds trying to take Jan down.
Mm-hmm.
Jacare's been grappling his whole life. Yeah, Dominic's a wrestler, but I don't think it's going to be as easy to take him down as you think.
No, I don't
And
think so either.
Let's be honest here also. Dominic doesn't always show up as the same fighter. He shows up either like how he did against John Jones, or he'll show up how he did against No Time, where he fucking looked like lost in there.
Right.
Like he's had some great performances in his career, but he's also had some ones where you're like, ooh, maybe he's not ready.
And who knows how he is, because he's still...
Because he also could, he said something the other day. I don't know if it was just a promotional kind of thing or something he's saying in the media just to, or if he really believes that. But he goes, I think Jan is he's not better than me in any point of any part of the game, and he's just slow, and he's gonna go out and he's just gonna swing and look for the big shot the whole time.
It's like fucking Luke Rockhold.
You're like, dude, that's not gonna happen.
Isn't that exactly what Luke Rockhold said, and then went out and got slept?
He got slept, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like
people underestimate Jan.
He's so quiet and unassuming,
exactly,
man.
Yeah.
But he's legit.
And honestly,
he's the guy.
You know who I really think is the uncrowned champion of this division? I think Thiago Santos is the real champion of this division. I think it's just like a matter of him getting this fight that was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago.
Sheriff fight.
Yeah, and then getting the winner of this, because I think he's already knocked fucking Jan out before, and it was pretty devastating.
It was.
And I think he knocked Dominic out too. I think Thiago Santos is a real champion in this division.
Yeah, hopefully he gets healthy. Which they've gone back and forth on the virus, haven't they? Whoever it is, please get healthy.
I think it's been fucking your boy the whole time.
Teixeira?
Yeah. I think it was Glover both times.
Well, either back to back with the COVID.
No, I think like it's just his test hasn't cleared yet. Like it hasn't cleared his system.
But either way, that fight needs to happen. So that winner.
We were hoping it was going to end
this
up on
winner.
this card, but then they made it for the October 3rd card, and then it got fucked over again.
Yep. Well, the rest of the card, I don't think it's really worth diving into.
Oh, yeah.
If something exciting happens, we'll talk about it next week.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have a big boxing card on Showtime's return here. We've got the Charlo twins fighting. One in a title unification bout. It's going to bring 3 belts together for the winner.
Yep.
And then the other defending.
Yep.
Against some decent competition. There's also, on the card, there's several other title fights as well.
Absolutely, some lower level belts.
Yeah,
like that.
It's boxing. There's 1,000
Yeah,
belts.
there's 1,000
and I'm not going to
belts.
pretend that coming off of COVID, I remember who has what in every
Yeah.
division. So, however, it's exciting. I like it when they put the brothers together on a fight card.
I do, but I don't. Because if you go back and you watch the card where it was him and Tony Harrison, where
When he lost.
we thought that he had won, but
Oh, yeah.
judges didn't seem to think so.
That was a
And then his
terrible
brother came
decision,
into his fight like fucking balls to the walls and almost lost his fight. Luckily, he came back and knocked him out.
Yeah, you had to wonder if he wasn't a little bit emotional from.
No, he had said after the fight he was emotional
there
because
you
of his
go.
brother. So
I
I don't know.
I would hope that they learn from
It's good when they
experiences
win.
like that, but the same thing happens in MMA. The Pettis brothers have talked about it. Like
Yeah.
when Anthony went out and saw his brother lose, it fucked him up in his fight. He said,
Yeah,
I get it,
makes sense.
but I would hope if they're doing it again,
Yeah,
they've thought
gotten
about the
past
consequences and gotten past it and been like,
Yeah.
okay, now I know how to handle this type of thing.
yeah,
Should it unfortunately happen.
yeah.
So, who do you like in the first one? We have got
Jason Rosario versus Jamel Charlo.
and this is going to be for the WBC, WBA, and IBF super welterweight unifications.
Yep,
Here.
I think Jamel's gonna win. I think there's a good chance. I don't know, because here's the thing: at super middleweight. Oh wait, that's
Welter.
the other brother. Shit, never mind. Talking about the other brother. I'm tripping.
Easy to do.
Easy to do, but I see him winning this fight.
Dude, Rosario's a decent fighter, but I'm a big believer in the Charlo Brothers.
Yeah, they're both legit.
we've written about them for Slugfest magazine. We've picked them in multiple fights here over the past year. Back when the before time,
the before time.
the before time when we had regular boxing.
Yeah.
And I'm a believer in them in this weekend as well. I think they're both going to win.
Yeah.
I think that Sergey is probably a little bit tougher for Jamal in the middleweight fight.
Well, I think Jamal has a good chance of fighting Canelo in the near future,
Yeah.
especially now that he's like getting out of his deal. Supposedly, he's fucking taking Oscar De La Hoya and DAZN to court.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, he said
DAZN.
he'll win his fights in the courtroom just as like he wins them in the ring.
That's gangster.
So, I think he's looking to fight often in a situation where I don't think he's gonna come back and fight light heavyweight again. Like, come on.
No,
That was ridiculous.
No, that was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous.
That was just I hope a one-off where he
Yeah.
definitely proved a point.
Yeah,
Now
he
you
just
should-
looked undersized in there.
Yeah.
I mean, he still got the win over Kovalev, but
And Kovalev's no joke.
yeah,
It's
but
very
I think
impressive,
where
but I don't think you
who
wanna
the
hang
people
out
he
there
should be
forever.
fighting is
Yeah.
like, the Callum Smiths, the Charlos, the freaking what's his name, Billy Joe Saunders, like those guys. Those guys are the people he should be fighting. He shouldn't be fighting fucking Kovalev. Dude. He's not that big, man.
No, I agree wholeheartely. I think it's good for boxing if both the brothers win this weekend as well.
Set 'em
These
both
are
up
these
for
are
good
promotable
place.
guys. We're gonna,
It's good for Showtime.
and I think it's great in boxing. Anytime you start getting titles unified, I think it just really helps
Yeah,
out. For
fuck,
goodness
yeah.
sakes,
Jesus.
there's so many.
One
innocent-
face, one name, one champion.
Absolutely, big believer in that. So I am looking forward to that, as well as of course, the UFC this weekend, and we're slowly getting back into
Well,
combat
back
sports.
in everything,
thing.
man. Yeah.
Yeah,
All sports are back now. You got football back. You got everything back.
yeah. I mean, they're all different, but we're moving forward, which is
Yeah.
good. And
Well, football's got crowds and stuff. They had 20,000 fans the other night.
yeah, I hope fighting picks up on that soon.
Yeah.
That's one thing that the Tyson fight was being held out for, is they're really hoping to get a crowd there.
Yeah. We'll
And
see.
I don't know why these guys can't look at BKFC's. There was no problems with BKFC's crowd.
Here's the problem, though. It's humans. Here's the problem: is people like the fans in Kansas City, where they're like, "Yeah, we're letting you in. Just please wear your mask." And every single fan took their mask off. It's like, come on. I mean, like, if you want to have this shit, just follow the stupid rules. It's not a big deal. Just follow the stupid rules, and we'll have all our shit. Just
Well,
like when you
hopefully-
don't, then stupid shit like can
Yeah.
happen where someone who knows they have COVID and just doesn't give a fuck shows up to an NFL game and gets 100 people sick, and then the NFL someone contracts it to a player, and then a whole locker room gets it, and that's how the fucking season gets finished. It's like, it's just stupid shit. It's like, why are people so dumb? Like, whether you believe
Well, I don't
in a
think. I
mask
think
or
we can
not,
avoid
you know
all
what
of
I
that
mean?
in fighting because the BKFC event had 500 people there.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
we're-
smaller
you know,
crowds for sure.
like-
Like football stadiums are
like
huge.
yeah, we're not going to get 20,000 people
Yeah,
into
no,
a fight
no.
for a while.
Yeah, no.
But I don't see why the UFC can't have 500 people in the fucking crowd.
Yeah, 500 people makes sense,
know,
and then just
like-
space them out. Yeah,
If a smaller promotion can do it, you can do it, and it makes such a difference, man. It makes a difference for the fighters, and it makes a difference for the viewers. And
Yeah.
but anyways, the Tyson fight's holding out for that. I think they'll be able to do it.
like the NFL is pumping in crowd noise.
NFL's pumping in crowd noise.
It actually doesn't seem bad because they never pan out. They always keep the cameras steady on the field, and they keep that crowd noise in it, and then you're like, wow,
It's
feels
not
like there's a
cheesy.
crowd.
They kind of have to because the crowd noise plays a part
Yeah,
in the game.
absolutely does.
So, as we discussed last week. But it is good to see these things coming back. Hopefully, we start to get more fights.
Yep.
And, if the UFC can just get through this year and churn out these events, then maybe next year we can start just getting decent fight cards again.
Yeah.
That's my only fear, is that this becomes the new pattern. And then, whatever, man. It's not like I'm going to quit
Well, I
watching.
think
but
the
fuck.
gates change things. You can say fuck you when there's no gate, but when you bring people, you put asses in seats. There's
You
argument.
got to deliver a little bit more, yeah.
Yeah,
I would say.
you know what I mean though. Like they can do this right now because of what's going on with COVID. Because like there's no gate. They're doing what they can because they're making money off ESPN. When they're making money off ESPN plus the gate, then we're talking different shit here. You know what
For
I mean?
sure.
Then it turns into a different story because now they're just putting on events. They're not necessarily making money off events. Yeah, they're getting ratings and
Well, that's because all
payments
the
from
money
ESPN.
comes at the end.
Yeah,
When they
but-
hit the 45, they get
Exactly.
750 million.
yeah.
So they're good.
That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
like in the situation where you get that 750 million, but then you're getting money off the gates, then someone can be like, well, sure, you're putting on an event, but I'm gonna fucking fill this arena no matter what, and then you can start negotiating. But when you're in a fucking empty, UFC performance center or whatever it is, what are you gonna say, man? I bring eyes to TV. Yeah, no dub, bro. Nothing's fucking on TV. You know what I mean? Like that's like what the UFC is doing to people. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like they're not necessarily going like, well, you're right. You have so much fan and viewership and all this shit. There's none of that shit right now because being a fan right now is way different than it's ever been. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's hard to have a brand as like a fighter right now. Like that's why it's kind of tough. It's just tough. It's like what's happening now just sucks all the way around, and there's really
Yeah, these
nothing
are
anyone
weird
can
times,
do about it.
man. Well, we're inching back to normalcy.
Yeah, fuck.
Hopefully, we'll get there.
That's the thing, though, is like, so once we do get back to normalcy, these motherfuckers would be like, hey, I'm going to fill the T-Mobile. Like, you
Right.
know what you're going to make off me. But right now, it's just not, you just don't have that card to throw. You know what I mean?
100%. I think that's the show, folks.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're brand new, you can catch us on all your major podcast outlets from Spotify to Apple Podcasts, Google Play. You can catch video on YouTube. We're on internet radio, WBUZ 95. You can find on Orange Radio app, radio.net. All of that information is located in one handy fucking spot.
SWATmade.com, where you can head over there, click the gear button, grab a t-shirt, and support the podcast, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.
Later.